Hey, what's up guys and gals? My name is Rick9G. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about the Three Stooges. Actually, we'll be talking about more than just three of them. In fact, all six of them in regards to what they have the longest of. And this is one of the things that I'm super interested in, always finding out more behind the scenes information on these amazing, great actors. Now, when talking about Hollywood land in general, one of the things that is very scarce is a long marriage. Yep, long marriages are very rare in the Hollywood circle, and I'm here to tell you that the Stooges rank among the top in regards to the longest marriages ever in Hollywood, even including the celebrities of today. Now let's begin with Moe Howard. Moe Howard being the leader of the Stooges and one of the constant Stooges in the entire Columbia series. Now his marriage with Helen Schoenberger lasted for 50 years. That's an incredible amount, and it did end with, of course, his death on May 4th, 1975. She passed away later that year in October, leading this to be one of the longest marriages in Hollywood. Now, they married in 1925, and Helen Schoenberger was actually a cousin of master magician Harry Houdini. They had two children, Joan Howard and Paul Howard. Now, Joe Besser was an interesting one because he was the one who took over after Shem Howard's untimely death, finishing off the Columbia shorts. And he's an interesting one because he was married to his wife, Erna Kay, for 56 years. This is 6 years longer than Moe Howard, so at this point he has the longest Stooge marriage that I have mentioned. In 1932, Besser married her. Her nickname was Ernie. The couple never had children, and oddly enough, Joe and Shem were old friends, having met in 1932. It's very odd, and I guess not even surprising that he was the one who eventually replaced Shem. Now, the only real wrench in this entire longest marriages in history for the Stooges is Curly Howard. And I won't get into all the details of his life or even his marriages, but I will let you know that he was married a total of 4 times, had 2 children. His first wife, Julia Rosenthal, from 1930 to 1931, Elaine Ackerman from 1937 to 1940, Marion Buxbaum from 1945 to 1946, and finally Valerie Newman, 1947 to 1952, at the time of his death. I can't neglect to mention Joe Dorita. He was not in the Columbia shorts, but he was the one who took over after Besser, filming a lot of the late movies along with Moe Howard and Larry Fine. Now, he was married twice, first to Bonnie Brooks for 30 years until her death in 1965. Then he married Gene Sullivan for 26 years until his death in 1993. Now, although he did have 2 marriages, they were long-lasting and essentially until the death of either spouse. And so that is commendable. And of course, I did want to mention him in this countdown. Now, Larry Fine, very similar to Moe Howard in how he was one of the constant Stooges in regards to the Stooge chronology of movies and shorts. He was married to his wife, Mabel Haney, for 41 years, which is very incredible and as well as commendable. Unfortunately, their marriage ended after 41 years in 1967 when Mabel died of a sudden heart attack at the age of 63. Now, Fine had strokes in the latter part of his life and passed away in January of 1975 at the age of 72. Now, Larry Fine did have 2 children, a daughter, Phyllis, who died of cancer in 1989, and they also had a son, John, who unfortunately passed away in a car crash in November 1961 at the young age of 24. And finally, we come to my favorite and final stooge of this list, Shem Howard. Now, he was married to Gertrude Frank for nearly 30 years. Now, he is on the lower side in regards to the number of years that he was married. The reasoning, of course, was that he passed away of a sudden heart attack in 1955. Now, what's interesting is that Gertrude outlived both her husband and her son, their only son, Morton, who was born in 1927 and later passed away in 1972. As I mentioned, Gertrude outlived her son for almost a decade and lived all the way to May 1982. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys and gals, looking at the length of marriages of the Stooges, which I mentioned are amongst the longest in all of Hollywood. 30 years being the lowest and working all the way to 56 years, which is incredible and a feat that I think is super commendable and admirable to look at. When we look at the compendium of the Stooges and their work, it's just incredible to see how long they have lasted and how long they are still being loved and adored by the fans, by the public, and I think rightfully so. Their family values and just togetherness is something that cannot be outmatched. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys and gals. Thanks for the support as always, and most importantly, be hopeful. Thank you so much to all the supporters I have on Patreon, especially my Diamond tier patrons: Vito L, Tommy G, Ricky, David D, Citizen Kane, Sally N, and Grace U. If you want to find more exclusive content, visit my Patreon page, links in the description.